Come on, baby, twist and shout. Hey there, Ash vs. Evil Dead fans. Welcome to the Ash vs. Evil Dead After Show on AFTERBUZZ TV. Tonight, we are talking about Season 3, Episode 7, Twist and Shout. Tonight, we're going to be breaking down the episode, talking about father-daughter bonding, the Dance of Doom, and, of course, the evil netherworld that a few of our characters find themselves in. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin!
Now, don't get me wrong, I look for any excuse to open up with Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper. Because I gotta have that cowbell. I've got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. But
your insurance doesn't cover cowbell, I'm sorry.
It doesn't, and that is upsetting. But the name of the episode was Twist and Shout.
Weird, slight incongruity there, it seems.
Slight. But you know what? It's Blue Oyster Cult. I'm not going to complain.
Also, Beatles songs still often prohibitively expensive.
Apparently. Okay. Hey there, Evil Dead fans. Welcome back to the Ash vs. Evil Dead After Show here on AFTERBUZZ TV. Tonight, we are talking about Twist and Shout. To my left is the fantastic Lex Michael.
Hi, that's me. I'm Lex Michael.
Sadly, Lucretia Lyon could not join us tonight, but be sure to follow her on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff at Lucretia Lyon. I'm Megan Salinas. Guys, we are going to be keeping an eye on the hashtag ABTV Evil Dead. We are also going to be keeping an eye on the live chat for all of you guys watching live. Hey, how you doing? Lex?
Yes.
We got it. We asked for it, and we got it. We said here on this after show, if this season happens without there being an episode about the school dance,
yes,
we would riot and be very upset.
Thankfully, we don't have to, because rioting takes so much effort and energy. And to do it safely, you have to buy a whole bunch of equipment. I don't have the budget for that.
As soon as we said it, I was like, oh man, I don't want to have to go and buy a sign. That means I'm going to have to go to the store.
Right.
I'm going to have
because people need to know why you're rioting.
I'm going to have to take the metro probably.
Right.
I don't want to do that.
And what am I going to do with all the excess art materials when I'm done with the signs? I don't have storage for that.
No, they just end up sitting in my trunk, and that's no good for anybody.
They melt. It's a whole thing.
It's just a huge hassle for everyone involved. So I'm really glad for a number of reasons that they gave us this episode.
Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's nice to see us back in true Ash versus Evil Dead fashion, gleefully offing children.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Obviously, it's at a high school, so they're all kids by definition.
Yes.
But even the little girl in the pink dress and the tiara did not make it out.
That was upsetting. But like in a way that like this show still makes acceptable.
It should not be funny to me.
No,
and it keeps.
This is like the first episode where like straight up a large group of children was the target of the attack.
Right. How do we up the ante from the season 1 child into the fan blades kill? We kill a whole bunch of children with a chainsaw.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So that in particular is, for me, I really appreciate how different that is for Evil Dead, because there are plenty of horror movies that go the high school slasher route, but very, very few kind of do it to the quality that Evil Dead does. So to have Evil Dead not only go back to Elk Grove, but to like kind of target in on this demographic that, because I don't know about you, I got introduced to Evil Dead when I was a teenager, but I never really thought of it as like a teen franchise horror film, if that makes any sense.
It really doesn't feel like one. And Ash, right? Ash is, I think he's in college in the first one.
Yeah.
Right, but pretty quickly, right? We're already older than the average, like teen slasher franchises. We center on often like late 20s, early 30-somethings playing teenagers. But yeah, we're already skewing a little bit higher, and then basically literally no time passes between Evil Dead 1 and 2. So Ash is basically college-aged, or allegedly college-age, all the way through Army of Darkness, which is something I'd never really considered before this moment.
Yeah, he had a college textbook with him when he went back in time.
That's right.
And that's what helped him turn his car into a demon-killing machine.
It's an element that I never really, even with that in the movie, I forget constantly, because obviously Bruce Campbell, by the time you get to Army of Darkness, does not he feels like a grown man.
Because he is a grown man.
Right. And he reads as such. So I forget constantly that, yes, canonically, textually, Ash is meant to be in college.
But that being said, again, this never felt like it was a franchise intended for teenagers. And
right.
Maybe I'm wrong in that assessment, but like this is by skewing it to where you get actual teenagers involved, I feel like it's stepping into new territory for this franchise, but not in a way that's like, we gotta appeal to the kids these days. It doesn't feel demeaning in that way.
No, if anything, it's we have to kill them all. We have to kill all the kids. Look, kids, here you are. There you go.
Well, I think the key with that is sticking on Ash and the relationships that he's formed with Kelly, Pablo, and now his daughter. But like the focus is still on him, and he is a man who is older and out of touch.
Right.
So of course, when he comes into the school with his chainsaw and everybody's running and screaming, he does what Ash always does and goes, "There's a perfectly logical explanation that I can probably come up with."
At a certain point, you'd think he would alter that approach a little bit, because not once has "it's really not what it looks like" ever worked for him. But it's right, like the juxtaposition of Ash with all these young people, right? Because especially obviously now, Ash is a middle-aged man, essentially textually a middle-aged man. So of course, all of the kids feel that much more like children by comparison. And so watching them get to the evil Ash in this episode, watching him just gleefully take all of these children apart, especially given that they feel so much younger next to him. Oh man.
Well, that, and like, even though we love our horror too, but I feel like very rarely does a horror movie go like, okay, here's a giant group of teenagers, let's just mow them down. I think the last time I saw that was like Freddy versus Jason.
That is exactly what in the cornfield.
Yes.
Yeah. That's exactly the thought that I had.
Which is, again, a fantastic sequence in an otherwise kind of lacking movie. But that moment's pretty awesome.
I haven't seen that in years. I'm going to go back and watch just that part, probably.
I have some notes when it comes to that crossover, but generally speaking, it's pretty fun.
They did a versus Ash comic book, right?
They
At a certain point?
They did Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, yes.
Okay, I remember hearing them talk for such a long time about trying to make that as a movie, and it never happened, and I never caught up with the comic.
They did. I read the first. I actually read them both. They're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're worth discussing, but just like with a lot of crossover stuff, they don't necessarily live up to the potential.
Right.
So
I feel like we're getting Ash fighting off Nightmare of Elm Street. Who am I? Nightmare on Elm Street-esque elements in this show anyway. Like, I'm thinking about last season, almost all of the stuff in the asylum, the puppets, all of it.
Oh, yeah.
That feels like it could be Freddy-ish. Like, I can imagine Freddy just cackling to himself as he throws demonic puppets at people.
I just really appreciate the idea of two very quippy personalities. Quippy, narcissistic personalities battling it out.
What I want is Ash and Freddy to do a podcast. Right?
I would absolutely listen to that.
Right? And like, you're going to think about it later, and you're going to your reaction will not have diminished. You're going to laugh exactly the same, like to the exact same level, the same level of mirth that you felt just now.
Yes. I do wonder, what would they talk about? Would they review horror movies, or would they talk about kids these days?
I feel like it would be a combination of like moaning about children, and also then just trying to one-up each other, because they're also both egomaniacs.
They are. It is kind of delightful. So let's go back to the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
And let's talk about how we sort of get the ball rolling, because none of the stuff going down at the dance would really matter if Ash and Brandy hadn't been bonding to the degree that they have.
Yes.
At the beginning of this episode, we get her coming down the stairs in this prom dress that her mom really liked, and she's intent on going to the dance. What dance do they do in the middle of winter? It's been quite some
Yule Ball? Is that only a Harry Potter thing? Are there really Yule balls?
If it's it's a British thing. I'm pretty sure we don't do Yule balls here in America.
I don't throw them. I've never had a Yule ball.
It wouldn't be Homecoming, because Homecoming's, I think, in the fall.
It's not really. It wouldn't be
prom, because that's more of a spring dance.
That's a really weirdly timed prom.
Okay, midwinter ball.
if you're in the chat and you have any clue what it's the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. We're gonna go with Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
How about, we go with either Yule Ball or Enchantment Under the Sea dance. I'm kind of leaning more towards Yule Ball, if that's okay.
Either way, we'll continue to pillage other franchises for possibilities as we go.
Sounds good. So, there's the school dance coming up, but it's less about Brandy wanting to go to the school dance. And this is, again, one of the things I appreciate about this franchise is that it could have been so easy for her to be like, but Dad, I want to go to the dance. That's not what's on her mind at all.
Right.
Her mind is focused on, hey, Ruby is going to be there. She just texted me. If all the stuff you say about her is true, this is a good chance for us to get the upper hand on her.
It's really cool to watch and very organically to watch Brandy step into the role of Ash's daughter, the way it seems like Ash is surprisingly really stepping into the role of Brandy's dad. Like that scene where she comes down the stairs in the dress, and obviously the way he phrases it is very Ash, right? It's just like, hey, you clean up good. But there's a genuine moment of pride there, like fatherly pride. And I really appreciate that we don't comment on it, like we don't put a hat on the thing, but like he's owning his role as her dad. And I think if you asked him, he'd probably be like, oh, well, you know, sure, whatever. But he is like, he's fully owning that role, that responsibility, and that you see bits of that love there. I thought that moment was really, really nice.
Well, and also, like, not only fatherly pride that she came up with this idea and that she's willing to dive headfirst into that, but also concern.
Yeah.
Like, we love Ash, but he's lost a number of family members and has been kind of callous about it, but you kind of have to be in order to move on. This moment where she's like, I'm gonna help you entrap Ruby, essentially, his initial thought is, no, absolutely not. He does the very dad thing, and it doesn't feel like, I'm your overbearing father and you're being unreasonable. No, I buy Ash actually caring about this person he promised to take care of, and not just like in the, you'll probably die sort of way.
Right.
It felt like there was genuine concern there. And then when not Kelly backs her up and goes, hey, we'll both be there in case anything goes wrong.
Right.
That's when he's definitely not put at ease. Like, you can tell the concern is still there.
Right.
But he's like, okay, I have faith that the three of us together can actually accomplish this.
Right.
But you still see the concern there.
Yes, and very specifically protective concern. Like he developed concern for both Pablo and Kelly, and he wants to look out for them, but I never read like Ash the protector into that relationship the way there are shades of that here. And again, it's like I'm going to keep hitting this, I guess, how much I love that it crept up on him, essentially. Like, there was no big moment where I'm sure there will be. I'm sure, like, the way it seems like we're building into the last few episodes of the season, there may very well be a big moment where he gets to prove himself as a father to his daughter, but there hasn't been that moment yet. It's just been a very slow, very organic, just like a layer of stepping stones. A sequence. There we go. That's the word. Sequence. This is coffee, which I need sorely right now.
Definitely layers in terms of the acting.
Yes.
And again, we love Ash. We love Bruce Campbell. But he doesn't often get the chance to do emotional performances.
Right.
Like, I think the most emotional performances he's had in this franchise was in Evil Dead 2, when like he's going crazy, and then the realization of like having murdered Linda coming back later in the film. Like, there were some emotional stuff there, but it's not something this series likes to dwell on in terms of the emoting of feelings. It's usually fear, quip, funny one-liner, arrogance, and that's sort of that's sort of where it lives.
Yeah, like, it's tough to. Although I think season 2 struck a really excellent balance, but it's frequently very difficult to balance genuine pathos and deep emotion with like this weird, like, Wile E. Coyote, Looney Tunes tone,
slapstick
that has been the series' default tone since Evil Dead 2, basically.
Yeah, so it's nice giving Bruce Campbell, because obviously he's a fantastic actor.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice actually giving him a little bit more depth to work with.
Yes.
And him running with that.
Yes.
Yes. Anything where we get to see different types of performances from Bruce Campbell, I'm all about.
Right, yeah, because he does. He absolutely crushes it every single time. It's just you don't get, because it's tough to create situations where Ash gets truly deeply emotive without almost breaking the character in a way.
Yeah, because he has to like put his level of thought at 0 in order to just be able to move forward with his life.
Right, exactly. And you don't want to week to week change Ash too much in too jarring a fashion, because you still want him to be, because he's so, in a weird way, he's almost like a Mickey Mouse of sorts. Like, you need Mickey Mouse to still be Mickey Mouse.
At his core, he needs to still be Ash Williams.
Right.
But if you, just like any sort of iconic character, you should allow them to grow and change in certain regards.
Right. Now, hey, speaking of which...
Otherwise, it's boring.
Well, speaking of which, Megan, you just brought up growth, right? Now, I love growing as well, like expanding my range of, my personality, my interests, my knowledge, all of it. I love growing as a person and having fun while I'm doing it, right? And if you want to have fun, learn, and grow in all areas of your life, we've got the podcast for you. It's called Conversations with Maria Menounos, Podcast Edition, and it's hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder. Drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life, from health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was the folks at ABTV Ash vs. Evil Dead who sent you there. Conversations with Maria Menounos, Podcast Edition. Check it out.
Yeah, and Maria just has a fountain of knowledge to bestow on other people. She's written several books. She has been a mentor to basically everybody here at the studio, and we would not be able to do what we do here on this after show if it wasn't for her support. So it really means a lot if you guys go out and support her in return.
Absolutely, and there's a lot to be gained, right? Because it's not like it's myopic in scope, right? She talks to so many different people, so there are so many different avenues, so many different things you can learn about. You can learn a lot about a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And again, Ash is not one that really tends to learn his lesson very often.
Ash could seriously do to listen to this podcast.
Before he and Freddie start up their comedy, narcissistic movie review advice show, he should sit down and listen to Maria's show to learn how it's done.
Amen.
I can't get over the idea of Bruce Campbell and Robert Englund co-hosting a show together. That would be the best.
Or just do like a special, like a one-off special. Like just have them do like a riff tracks type thing.
Oh, that would be so great.
Doing Ash Williams and Freddy Krueger doing like Bubba Hotep commentary.
Oh yeah, throw Kane Hodder in there too.
Yeah,
oh,
he just sits
perfect.
there quietly. He just sits there and occasionally goes.
Like, what do you think, Kane? Actually. Talked to him on a red carpet before. He's great. He's fantastic. Anyway, neither here nor there. Before we get the off-topic button, let's get back to this moment.
Yes,
because they do go to the dance. You know, not Kelly, a.k.a. Kaya, convinces Ash that it's a good idea, but the cops are still out and about. And apparently having a child covered in blood in your trunk is not great when it comes to, like, your relationship with law enforcement.
It's a weird look, to be sure.
It's definitely weird, especially then with the next time you're seen is at a high school, which Ash would be suspect at a high school anyway.
You want to definitely give it at least 3 days of space between Bloody Baby in your trunk and showing up to school.
Yeah, no, definitely. Put a pin in that for a little bit.
It's a 3-day rule, right? 'Cause what was that? Wasn't it like in the 90s, right? Or the early 2000s, whatever, like the rule when you're trying to play it cool after you get somebody's number, like you wait 3 days.
You wait 3 days before you text a girl, right?
So if it's 3 days before texting a girl, I'm going to walk back what I said. I'm going to say it's probably at least 2 weeks after Bloody Baby in your trunk before you go to a school.
It used to be 3 days before you call somebody. Is it different with texting now? Is it like half the time?
I don't know what children do.
I don't know either. I don't know.
I feel like I turned 25 and I aged like 4 decades.
You're only 25? No.
I look great. No, I
don't. So, yeah, we have Ash sort of wanting to go in the back, which of course gives Kaya the opportunity to manipulate Brandy. And that's exactly what proceeds to happen. Ruby, who's weird Ruby Ash offspring comes out of its cocoon at the beginning of this episode. And again, talking about the different types of performances that Bruce Campbell gets to give in this show.
Right.
I loved this version of Evil Ash.
Yes, because, and you say this version, and I appreciate that you went there first. He gets to play evil. He's gotten to play evil versions of himself, evil doppelgangers throughout the entire series. And yeah, as to the best of my recollection, every single time this is a different entity. It's wearing Ash's face, but it's not the same evil doppelganger every time.
No, I mean, it's either a hallucination of himself in the mirror, an evil clone that came out of him because he consumed a deadite. It's the remnant of his severed hand running around that then grew limbs and became Ash.
Or the tiny little guys that like he swallows and has to burn out of himself.
Yep. And then finally we get this demonic offspring version that even has a chainsaw for a hand.
Poor guy.
Which, not gonna lie, had he not chopped it off, I was kind of looking at it, I was like, that kind of looks like a Soul Calibur weapon. Doesn't it? Doesn't it look like the Soul Edge?
I know what you're talking about. I've actually never played a Soul Calibur game, but I have played Super Smash Brothers Melee, where I think was Marth is in it.
Crazy demon sword with a giant eye in it. Like, this demonic version of his chainsaw kind of looked like that.
You know what just happened? I confused my Soul Calibur with my Fire Emblem. That's what happened. So I actually have no frame of reference for Soul Calibur, and yet I knew what you were talking about.
So you have no idea what I was talking about.
But I can picture the sword. Like, I've actually seen like images of it, but no, that's actually my greatest frame of reference.
Let me see if I can pull it up for you. But yeah, the cool thing about this is that, again, the performance was so incredibly different, and it was fun seeing that dynamic with Ruby.
Yes.
Of like that, hey mom, ugh.
And then this poor guy, like his mom having him cut off his flesh saw with a little hacksaw, and he's so sad. He's like, oh, it hurts. Is that normal?
And she's like, quit being a baby. And he's like, but I was just a baby like 10 minutes ago.
Literally, I'm not even a year old.
Steve, our wonderful engineer, pulled it up already. That's basically what it looks like, and that big old circle is an eye because it's an evil demon sword.
Okay, I see it, and what I've just discovered is what I was picturing was actually one of the swords from Legend of Zelda. So I had no clue, in fact, what you were talking about.
So long story short, quit pretending like you know.
I thought I did.
No, long story short,
that thing is horrifying.
Isn't it great though?
Why is it looking at me?
Because it wants to consume your soul, Lex.
Oh, well, that tracks, I suppose.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Soul Calibur, just look up Soul Calibur Soul Edge, and you will see pictures of the evil demon sword that we are referring to.
That does, though, it does like more than vaguely resemble the silhouette of that flesh saw.
Yeah. So I would love to see this show definitely kind of delve. I would love to see this show's version of Soul Edge, where it's just a demon where it's got like a blade for an arm, and then it proceeds to go ahead and do some damage that way.
Yeah, it's too bad that Ash had to be relatively discreet, because I would have loved to have seen the chainsaw versus the flesh chainsaw.
Absolutely.
Like,
that would have been great.
And just like duel with each other like Texas Chainsaw 2 style.
That would be the best.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how, that's not what fate had in store for us in this episode. So basically, Ruby sends, once the group is separated, Ruby sends Evil Ash out to go and cause mayhem and panic.
Yeah, just to kill the shit out of everybody.
To then pin it on Ash. Let's talk about Ruby's plan.
I mean, actually, as plans go, right? Because she needed to figure out a way, if she was going to fulfill that prophecy, she had to figure out a way to maneuver...
get Brandy to kill Ash.
So, given that that's what she had to accomplish, like it came this close to working. It's actually a pretty brilliant plan.
Yeah, well... It didn't work.
Right,
she should have taken Brandy under her wing a lot quicker.
Well, yes.
And a lot more definitively, because all of that time spent bonding is ultimately what undid the chances of that ever happening.
That is a very good point. Yes, you probably should have figured out a way to pull her away from Ash a little bit more efficiently earlier.
Yeah, for sure. But in the meantime, Evil Ash is going around and murdering all these teenagers. And can I just say that I love the way this Evil Ash talks? You know, cannabis is a gateway drug, don't you? And his Spanish is way more on point than actual Ash's Spanish. Oh.
And that's, I think, like that moment where Pablo hears Ash speaking Spanish fluently and go, like, just non-verbally, he's like, what?
He's like, this is weird.
This
not
is,
right.
Yeah, something is not correct.
I think I also really appreciated Ash killing a kid for not adhering to the dress code properly.
Those shoes.
Those shoes. There was a very strict dress code set for tonight, and he has violated it, so he's dead now.
What did he say? It's like, I don't know what he was thinking.
I don't know what that young man was thinking. And again, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not sure what the direction Bruce Campbell was given for that, or what the intention was with in the script writing out the dialogue this way. But oh my god, I loved it. I loved
really
the
good.
way it all came together.
It was really good. And then poor Pablo's having a very emotionally complicated day. But is this right? Like, Pablo's never had to physically like brawl with any version of Ash before, has he?
I feel like he had to maybe duke it out a little bit with Evil Ash, the hand version, but I feel like that was mostly Ash taking that on. It's been a little bit though.
Yeah, but like getting them to watch them, like him, like actually, hold off the evil Ash was really cool. Good for him. Thumbs up. Also, like really, like up top at the beginning of the episode too. Like he starts off this episode in a pretty complex emotional place when he sees Kelly talking to him from the other side of the rift, right? And she tells him that she's dead.
Yeah.
And like Ray was so great in that scene, and the emotion in his eyes. Like, once again, it's like, even though in the back of my head I don't accept that we're not gonna save Kelly, my heart was absolutely shattered watching Pablo's heart be absolutely shattered.
Yeah, watching Pablo have to accept the idea that Kelly is gone, that is dead and gone, and that now the only window he has to speak with her is now closed, it looks like. And he has no idea how to access it or open it again. And he can't exactly count on Zoe to help him in this regard, because she's also devastated from having lost all of her friends. And before Kelly shows up, Zoe basically admits, we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into.
Right.
We are woefully underprepared.
Right, which actually makes a ton of sense, right? Because the Knights of Sumeria, as this is the first time they've really shown up as a real presence in the show. They haven't been fighting evil the last couple of years.
No. Where you been? Where you been, guys?
Like, so presumably they've been off somewhere, like prepping and training and researching, waiting for the day when they could totally fight evil, but without any evil to practice on, they're still woefully unprepared.
Yeah, and so she can't exactly help him. So Pablo rushes over to the school to go and find Ash and company, and sure enough, who does he run into first and foremost after all of these students are running to get out? He runs into Kelly.
Mm-hmm. It's just so emotionally confusing.
Again, talking about performances, this was great because he so badly wanted to say, I thought you were dead. I thought something terrible had happened to you. And he has to hold back the floodgate of emotion looking at her, and has to tread cautiously.
Yes.
And go, hey, I was super worried about you for reasons that are unrelated to anything that's happening. I just would have felt really badly if I had never gotten the opportunity to work up the nerve to like kiss you. It would be great. And because yeah, you can definitely tell it's like a mixture of like fear and anger, but also trepidation and
even in that moment, he's clever enough to lead Kaya to giving herself away.
Mm-hmm.
And like he wants it so badly. He wants it so badly to be Kelly. And the second that he knows it isn't. It's like, all right, well, what the hell are you? I've got to deal with you now. I'm going to shoot you in the face. And then I love that she uses his love for her against him by saying, like, oh, what are you going to do? You're going to shoot me? You're going to blow a hole in this face you love so much?
Yeah, this was one of those things where he got a great one-liner about, like, ha, Kelly and I already kissed, and it was awesome. Well, that on the one hand, it's like, yes, you've shown this demon woman that you've shown her who's boss, clearly, that you were not taken in by her ruse, but now you've basically admitted to her that you have feelings for this vessel that she's inhabiting, and that you're not going to be able to do it. And sure enough, I was surprised that he pulled the trigger, for sure, but it does not surprise me that it was only after her hand had knocked it away.
Right. Would he, if she hadn't made that motion, would that gun have gone off in that moment?
It's interesting, though, that we get this moment where he does choose to pull the trigger. He fails, but he chooses to pull the trigger when face to face with shooting the visage of a loved one.
Yes.
And then we fast forward a couple minutes, and Brandy ends up brandishing the Kandarian dagger against Ash and comes to the realization that she can't.
Right.
So that was a nice little bit of foreshadowing and parallelism.
I also really liked that once Kaya got the gun, and I like that we didn't, this is me reading into it, I don't know if this was part of the intention at all, but I really liked, it makes total sense, if you're an ancient demon and you've been on the other side of a mystic rift for eons, right? You probably haven't had a whole lot of use for a revolver, so I like that.
She's
not
a
only
terrible shot.
Not only is she a terrible shot, she did not count
She
the
doesn't
shots
know
that
how
she was
many.
firing. I really like that, because, and whether or not that was any part of their intent, that made me laugh.
I love it. She was like, "Whoa, you have hand cannons? That's remarkable. So much has changed since my day."
That made me, yeah, it was funny.
And then, yeah, she obviously can't aim it very well, and then doesn't know how many is in one chamber. It was really funny, too. When it didn't work, she's like, huh, and keeps trying. And so it's the little things.
But okay, so you just referenced the scene near the end of the episode where she's got the dagger and she can't do it. Also, Ash offing his doppelganger by blasting his head off.
Oh, so funny.
Also, get out of my jazz. Love it.
We have a lot of people in the live chat who really appreciated "Get Out of My Jazz."
That is a wonderful line. But also, too, watching Bruce Campbell blow his own head off. Weirdly jarring in a way that I was not prepared for.
No, but like, again, it's something we should sort of be used to by now, because
You would
Ash has
think.
defeated himself so many times. Ash is his own worst enemy.
I think it's just the effect, maybe the effect on the head getting blown apart. I'm not used to it being Bruce
because
Campbell's head that gets blown apart.
It was a chunk of it
Yeah.
that flew away first, and he's like, "Ha! It's gonna take more than that." And then, yep. I talking about Kaya, I really do appreciate that. Like, it was a believable building up to them trying to get Brandy on their side.
Yes.
I really liked that her performance as Kelly was quote unquote believable, because like in a lot of other shows, when a character gets possessed like that, they project too much that they're evil or that something's wrong with this person. And I really appreciated that, like, Kai is genuinely acting like Kelly would act. And
Yes.
it was refreshing to be like, okay, because in a lot of other shows, when you see somebody possessed, like, you as an audience member get annoyed when it's so obvious.
Yes.
That that person's not acting normally.
Right, and it also wouldn't track because even though Kaya is not, strictly speaking, a Deadite, she's something else altogether, the demons in the Evil Dead mythology have been well established as really excellent liars.
Yeah.
So for that
absolutely.
reason as well, it would not necessarily have tracked if this other demon was really, really bad at it. Although now I want to see some of these demons be really bad at lying, like really bad at passing for human.
I do like that idea, but I also love the moment when they know that the jig is up and they know that no matter what, they're not going to fool the person that they're trying to fool. And that's when the the act, they instead of like trying to be deceptive, they just turn up the scenery chewing to 11, and it's fantastic.
If I can't pass for a person anymore, I'm gonna quadruple down on not passing for a person. Like, I'm gonna be
and I'm just gonna be evil.
Yeah, like normally I'm a pretty chill demon, but I'm gonna be super demon-y today.
It's the only way I'm gonna stand out among the sea of demons.
Like, do you think my neck normally does this? No, but I'm being super demon-y today.
I'm doing it for you. You think I do this at home in the weird green nether realm?
No, my kids make fun of me when I do this at home.
I don't do this in the dark dimension. But it is interesting how what sort of lengths Ruby did go. Again, we criticize her like you should have gotten into it earlier, but she takes time to honor Candy and Rachel, the two people who meant the world to Brandy. She takes time to honor them during the dance. And then pulls her aside and goes, hey, your dad's the demon, like, think about it. And then having Kelly there to go, you're not wrong. Like, again, this was all... Obviously, they didn't do this soon enough.
Right.
But it was all done very believably.
Yes.
And then when Ruby runs out and goes, basically does the thing from I Know What You Did Last Summer and be like, what are you waiting for, Ash? And then runs at his chainsaw.
Yep.
Of course. And then with her dying breath goes, Brandy, you have to stop this. Ugh, I'm dead now. And just Ash going like, what are you doing?
Right.
As she's grabbing his chainsaw and running it through her. He's like, I don't know. Demons don't normally do this. This is really weird. What's happening? It was all very well thought out as far as evil demon plans go.
Yes.
But the moment Brandy can't do it and the moment Ash doppelganger runs in, that's when the jig is up. And just seeing Ruby just fume.
How mad she gets when it does not work.
As her intestines are spilling out. Oh, she stands up with the dagger and she's like, I've waited for this for hundreds of years.
And then 2 years in the school. And in that moment, it's almost like, you know what? I've never been there exactly, but I know this feeling. I can relate to Ruby in this moment. It is very frustrating when your plan does not come together.
When was the last time you had an evil plan not come together that you were really frustrated at and felt the need to wave a dagger around a bunch of school children?
Last Thursday, and my intestines weren't out, but I was missing a leg.
That is rough.
I got it back.
You got better?
I got it back. I got it back. They just jammed it back on. It was fine.
Got some stitches. You're good.
No, I just hold on to it while I walk now. It's fine.
It's not even. It's duct tape. It's duct tape together. It's good.
Well, something's got to like keep it while my hands, because I sit up and I get down.
That's true. That's true. And again, what better substance than duct tape? It keeps everything together. It keeps the world going.
Yeah. We really haven't improved on duct tape.
No, we peaked as a species when it came to the invention of duct tape. But yeah, so she has the Kandarian dagger.
Yes.
And decides to go ahead and say F it and just throws the dagger at Ash. And it's in this moment where Brandy hops in front of him and takes the brunt of the dagger and dies, and her spirit seems to be banished to the same place that Kelly is at. And initially, I thought, okay, she's gone to the nether realm where all victims of Deadites and the Necronomicon go. But then I thought about it. I was like, wait. Is this different? Because both she and Kelly were killed by the Kandarian dagger. Is this like the special nether realm specifically where the Dark Ones were sent away because they were killed by the Kandarian dagger, not necessarily other weird nether realms that we've seen throughout this series?
Right. I have no clue what the answer to that question is, but I love, once again, in one episode, I mean, we've been leading up to it. I guess we've been planting the seeds with the rift for the past couple of weeks, but once again, in one stroke, we've now blown open the mythology of this franchise even further. We've gone through portals before.
Yeah.
But we've never been to the other side, as it were.
Yeah. We've definitely seen souls trapped in the other side. Like, I always go back to Evil Dead 2 when the specter of the professor shows up to give some exposition really quick. But we never really get to see other souls that are trapped there prior or since that point. So you just sort of make the assumption that, you know, Ash saving the day kind of set everything right, but you never really knew for sure. And here it's like the first time we've actually jumped into another plane.
Right.
We've gone back to the past. It makes sense that this show would progress. In order to move forward, hopping into the nether plane was the only step I think they could take. Unless they wanted to go with aliens.
I'm still holding out hope. I don't think these things are mutually exclusive.
Maybe.
Maybe when we say aliens, we're alien to this plane of existence.
Ah.
This is how I both have my cake and eat the
it.
cake that I have. Because why have cake otherwise?
I don't know why that phrase necessarily came about, because eating cake that you don't have implies that you took it from someone else.
That is not only a crime, it isn't very nice.
No. And there is no crime worse than cake crime. So yeah, we see Brandy as Ash is cradling his dead daughter.
Which, by the way, I mean, like, you know what I'm going to say? Like, the actual, like, no, granted, he had a big emotional reaction when his dad's head got crushed by the Delta, but this is something...
Yeah,
right.
but it was kind of cartoonish.
Right.
Like, you know, it hurt him, and
What's
he had
very-
a meltdown when
Right.
Pablo died.
It's very big, performative, external pain.
And it's played for laughs too.
Right.
Like, we feel it. We feel the hashtag cake crime. Thank you, Steve. But yeah, we feel a lot of that emotion, and it's played for laughs though, and to the point where we ultimately know that we're not supposed to take this death seriously.
Right.
Very rarely does this franchise, it does it though, very rarely does this franchise actually take a moment to be like, hey, this character died and that sucks.
And we get to see Bruce Campbell play like deep internal pain.
Yeah, and like talking about how his sister died and his dad died, and you see all of that flooding back too, because Brandy was the only family he had left.
He literally says, like, oh, not you. Like,
Yeah. Oh.
my heart. Oh, I just got sad again. Oh, no.
And again, it's not played over dramatically. It's played, I feel like, pitch perfect.
Yes.
In terms of how it should be played. And then we jump to the nether plane. As he's still holding her, she wakes up in the nether realm version of the school gym. And that's when we see the silhouette of what looked like a woman, but it didn't sound human,
No.
forming in the corner. And that's when she takes off and runs out of the gym. Cue Don't Fear the Reaper.
Right.
Was that a dark one? I assume it was a dark one, but it might just be another Deadite, demon, I guess, mini boss or a sub boss of some sort.
It could be, and if I lean that way, it's only because I wonder if a dark one would like deign to be the greeting party. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's totally feasible that, especially if we're in a pocket realm linked to the Kandarian dagger, it makes sense that this might be a spot where they hang out.
Yeah.
And especially since it sounds like, and cast members in interviews when they were in talking to us, have alluded to this season building towards a big apex of sorts. I don't know how big an apex, but at a certain point, if you build and build and build in this show on a long enough timeline, eventually you would have to bump into the dark ones.
Yeah. And I mean, the poster for this season is that giant demon. I want to say from the end of Evil Dead 2, or an updated version of that demon. with this giant head and giant fangs that basically Ash can stand on top of, as like that poster. You know what I'm talking about?
I was like, because in my head, I'm like, wait, the thing with Coogie? Where's the demon on that? No, I know the one you're talking about.
And so I feel like we're building up to that this season, and I kind of think that that's like maybe the Dark Ones being like, okay, you didn't want to deal with us individually, we're all just gonna like come together like Voltron or like a Transformer combiner, or in the case of demons like Legion, and then we're gonna eat you and it's gonna be crazy.
I really want to see him fight a monster that big.
I want an evil demon Voltron now. Yeah, I think that just about does it. Do we have any quick rapid fire predictions that we want to touch on?
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Well, all right. So I saw the next week on, and we're basically gonna mount a rescue mission. We're going into the other side. It's Ash and Pablo. We're gonna go save Brandy. We're gonna go save Kelly. We bump into Dalton on the other side, I guess. And short of that, I have no clue. Like every week now, I say I've given up trying to get ahead of this show because I'm always, even when I'm right, I'm completely wrong.
I do like how it is a rescue mission, which again, like last season, it was all about saving Pablo by going back to the past. Now that we hopped into the nether realm, I like that that's where we're going. And I like that even though we're going to save Ash's daughter and we're going to save Kelly, this in no way feels like we're going to save the damsels in distress.
Right.
It doesn't feel that way. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate this show for not feeling like that.
Absolutely. And then one thing that I saw in that little clip, the like sizzle reel for next week, which totally tracks, right? To get where Brandy and Kelly are, I guess presumably you have to die at the tip of that dagger. So we see at the very end of the next week on, we see Pablo giving Ash an assist by inserting the dagger into his torso, which, unless I'm forgetting something pretty significant, would mark another Evil Dead first, which is Ash Williams dying.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, because yeah, he's been possessed by a demon before. I guess if you want to count Evil Dead 1 like it was its own thing, technically he was supposed to die at the end of that,
right.
But like that's different.
Right.
I feel like that was its own weird thing and kind of got retconned with Evil Dead 2. So yeah, that's a genuinely new territory. I love that.
I wonder how he'll handle it. I feel like Ash's ego is too big to take being dead all that well.
He's like, I'll get better. It's fine. Well, and presumably if Pablo stays on this plane of existence, he can do something to resuscitate all three of them.
Guy in the chair.
Guy in the chair! Yes! I can be your guy in the chair, Ash. Oh, I love it. I think that just about does it. Do we have any final thoughts on this episode or final predictions for next week?
I feel like I gotta tap out. I don't even know. Like,
I feel greedy asking for more because we were like, I need to see the dance. I need to see the demons at the dance.
Right.
And that's exactly what I got in this episode. And now, as like the cherry on top, it's like, oh, also you're going to the nether realm where there are lots of demons and dark ones. And I'm like, I don't know what to ask for.
I guess like if my big ask, if we're gonna shoot for the moon, my big ask is to see him fighting something the size of the thing he's fighting on the poster you're talking about.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. All right, well, we've only got 3 episodes left this season.
And we have not gotten word on whether or not this show has been picked up for a 4th season, which is very scary to me.
That's upsetting. I hope there's nothing but good things in the future.
Subscribe to Starz, kids.
You haven't already done so. Tell Starz how much you really want Ash vs. Evil Dead to come back. Let them know how much you love it. All right. I think that just about wraps it up. Lex, where can people go if they want to find you?
I am all over social media at the Lex Michael. I also do a podcast with Tari J. Miller called Missing Out. It is about art, media, culture, experiences, why these things resonate with us the way they do, and how they shape the people that we are. It is the retrospective that's introspective. You can find it wherever podcasts can be located: iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, on Twitter at Missing Outcast. And if you follow us on that Twitter account, you can get our little mini shows, Missing Out Mondays. They come out every Monday. It's basically us like hitting stuff that we dug from the week before. Full episodes every Tuesday. Come check it out. We love you. Kiss. Mwah.
I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. Just follow me on Twitter. I've got a bunch of fun projects coming up. Also, if you haven't already done so, please follow our cohort Lucretia Lion at Lucretia Lion on Twitter. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to everybody in the hashtag, everybody in the live chat. Your comments are on point. It does look like the Upside Down a little bit. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you all next week.
Goodbye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Get out of my jazz.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.